This is High Vibe TV, the uncensored, guided, and community-based video TV network with content recorded and live streamed from the world-famous High Vibe TV studios. High Vibe TV delivers daily, weekly, and special programs focused on astrology, spirituality, history, community, and more. This is not your run-of-the-mill astrology and tarot. This is the future of spirituality, illuminating new ways the collective can step into the dawning of this exciting new dimension. The highest vibe is truth, and the truth always prevails. Download our awesome app on the Apple and Android stores so you don't miss our notifications, with special spiritual insights curated to the energy of the universe. Search for us on your TV with our exciting TV apps on Apple TV and Roku. Catch our vibe on your computer, where you can join in on the live chat with our amazing community and blog. Watch spirituality like you've never seen before. Download our apps or go to highvibe.tv. Subscribe now.
I like this question from Tanya. How in the astrology chart fate and free will work together? With transits, progressive charts, Draconic charts, and the ones I haven't mentioned work together for predictive astrology. What do you have to say, Brian?
The question is how does
fate and free will work together through charts in the different charts?
It's fate that you're going to have this transit at this time in your life, depending on whatever that is with the planets. That's fated. That's going to happen. Now, the choices you make they play into it. The consciousness that you have, the karma that you've dealt with, there's all of these, aspects of our free will life that we have the choice to do. I could say fuck right now. I could say love right now. Whatever. We all make choices. We make decisions. And they come back at fated moments. And that's where the planets hit, in the progressions, in the transits, the solar arcs. And, I think that's where fate and karma come together. And, they either make us grow and learn from our decisions, or they reward our decisions in a lot of ways. So fate, you're going to come to this, influx moment at this time in your life, no matter what. And I think a lot of it has to do with the free will choices you made. So that's kind of my opinion on it. I do go back and forth. I'll be honest, I'm a little wishy-washy. Some days I'm like, yeah, free will doesn't exist. Right. So I'll be honest, sometimes I am. But I do believe that it is a universal law, that in this third dimension we do have free will. So as much as sometimes I don't know if we do, because I do think that a lot of it's like, a river, and it breaks off into these different streams and these different fingers of the river. And then at certain points, it's always going to meet back to that main stream. So our free will can kind of get us to a certain stream, but there's going to be the moment that we really signed a contract for that was fated that's going to happen. And I think that that's when you have these big transits, these life-changing transits, these catalyst transits. So it's all correlated with the astrology, but there's, wiggle room in between.
Right. Well, that wiggle room, it's interesting to go back, and this is going to correlate, trust me, that there were some houses that they turned the power off in LA. And if you remember why they turned the power off, it wasn't the cops that did it. It was the mayor. And why did the mayor do it? They were Airbnb houses that were throwing parties, and there was aerial footage of them. And so he felt pressured and forced the DWP to turn it off, because he found out that they were Airbnb houses, which you don't have, it's not their houses. It wasn't their house. So it's kind of like your own chart. You have the ability to take care of it. But if you're Airbnb-ing in your life, it's not your house. And that was a way to get them out of the house, was to turn the power off. Go look at the investigation and how that worked. That's what happened, and they used it as an example with 2 to 3 houses max. It wasn't like they were going around shutting people's power off their homes, as being as stating in here. I don't know where Kelly is getting a lot of this, but it was that. Go look it up. They were turning off people's power. Yeah. It's a mass media fucking thing, and it was Airbnb parties with rappers that were trying to do it. That was it. But it's like, when it's your own chart, you have a couple options, I think, when it comes to how you're going to deal with whatever is fated that's coming, and it's coming no matter what. And I think it's about using your own natal chart and using the flavors of your own natal positions. I know we could use progressions and those help, and we can and use all these other charts. But I think if you stick to, for example, okay, I'm about to have Pluto square my Pluto exactly. It's already happening, but and a Pluto opposes my sun. Well, what's my natal Pluto? That's going to be the flavor of the transit that's squaring or making a hard aspect. And look at the flavor of that planet. So if I have Pluto in Libra, it's definitely going to come up about balance. It's definitely going to be looking at the house that it's squaring it from, the 6th house to the 3rd house. So it's like, okay, look at how we started this show talking about schedules and balancing it out. And how that environment or how my mind to figure that out and the changes that come. 6 houses also pets. I just lost Pixie. So I mean, no matter what my Pluto in the 3rd thought it could figure this out or thought it understood, there was a hidden kidney disease that she had that fucking killed her. So that's the other thing about Pluto stuff. It doesn't, if it's the planet Pluto, it's going to unearth something that was hidden. If it's Saturn, it's going to be something that, you need to get more on top of shit with. You're not on top. You're slacking off. You're overdoing it or you're underdoing it. So I think and then knowing your own natal planet. So if it's like Jupiter in your chart, look at your Jupiter. If it's a Jupiter transit of good or bad, well, what's the flavor of your natal Jupiter? How's that Jupiter sign-wise? How's that Jupiter? Is it the ruler of a house? Is it a lord of a house? Is it detriment? I think it's more about understanding how you can deal with it, understanding your own power of those planets too, and how well you're using evolutionary astrology to understand consciously about your planets and having a conscious way of the situations going down. It's how you're going to use the tools, which is your soul, that all the charts define in every different way. Whether it's a Draconic chart, it defines it in a certain way, or a progressed chart's defining where you've progressed from where you were born. And look at those days after every year. It's like when I went 2 years ago to my progressed chart, it was on my mom's birthday, 35 days after I was born. So my 34, so it was 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago. So it was like crazy. I was living in my progression the day that my mom had her birthday after having me. And I asked my mom, how was that birthday for you? How was that day?
Did she remember?
Oh, yeah. She was like, I had a great day. And for me, that was 2020. And 2020 had its moments. But it was weird because after my mom had me, because you're kind of in that whole day, which is the year, right? That in that year, my great-grandmother died. My mom's grandmother died. My grandmother died in the same progressed day. Oh, wow. Because that day represents a year. So I look at the day of that whole year.
Right.
So I was like, what else happened? Oh, that's right. Musha died, my great-grandmother in Holland, while I was there. And it was weird. My mom was, my grandmother, my Oma was at my mom's house. Guess what? My Oma decided to pass away at my mom's house at 94 in the bed. Natural causes, right? Right after Easter and right when they started saying COVID and we're going to start doing all this crazy shit, she was like, I don't want to live in this world. This is crazy. This is illegal. Passed away. So it's like one of those things to her. It was like, that's a good predictive tool of like, you're going to be, if you want to use predictive tools, there's tools like that. But I think it's like free will is like how well you're going to adjust to how it works and how you go through it. I feel like when I lost my father and then losing Pixie just 2 days ago, it was like, I don't even want to try and compare, but it was very close on the emotional hardship. Like it was fucking rough, especially because I wasn't predicting it on both cases. But because I had gone through that with my dad, so sometimes it's about also understanding like, okay, how do you deal with grief when it's at its hardest thing? Let's say if it's a grief transit. Well, I've been through that before, so I'm going to go through it, but I know the tools now of how to move through. And also, it's a cat. I mean, I'm not trying to diminish my cat at all, but it's like, that's my dad. I fucking remember the way his fingernails looked, you know, and all that shit. So it's like, you know, and I know the way that my cat felt and all those things, but it's like, there's something about all the memories in both ways, but there's something when it's your own parent or it's, you know, you learn how to look at your own natal chart and how you deal with things. Like Pluto is going to be able to deal, how do you deal with death? You know, or the sun's going to be with how well do you deal with your ability to be conscious of who you are as a soul. Not so much in the physical reality, but how it connects to this reality, the matrix, like how it's you outside the matrix. I feel the sun is like when you're like in the fucking Nebuchadnezzar. And how you express yourself in the reality is like you're rising, you know, that's plugging in, you know? And so it's like, I feel like those are the ways to help understand things. And that knowing astrology, you know, you can't stop the planets. You can't stop your progressions. You can't stop the whole show.
Right. It's exactly all of that. It's, I had it on the tip of my tongue and now I talked and I lost it. It's all about the soul growth and the soul evolution. That's what we came here for, was for the experiences. So we're going to have experiences no matter what, but that's the growth, is how we deal with what shows up, with the flavor of those planets, with how we can, you know, be more conscious, be more connected, be more ourself. All these planets relate better. It's all going to be that kind of a situation. So, you know, whatever shows up was just so that you can experience something, good or bad, and how you react to that experience is why that transit came on that day, no matter what, because you can't stop it. It was going to happen no matter what.
I mean, correct.
I don't know.
I mean, that's the hard part about astrology, right? Like, I think astrology becomes either a debate or it becomes just the way it is and things are going to happen and it's about how you find your way through it.
Yeah, I lean on that side.
Right? Because I feel like, you know, I understand where Kelly's coming from in here about the LA thing and sending me an article of 2,700 people that were arrested during a protest. Now it's moving to a different place. Like, we could debate all we want about things, but it's like, you know, it's like more than 92% of 2,700 arrests in LA were for failure to disperse or curfew violations.
They threw it under curfew.
They threw it under that because they were outside protesting and they didn't like the protesting, right? Most of the arrests were for curfew, but the police detained 20 people with suspicion of looting and impounded 50 vehicles. It was just an extra way for them to try and get them in there. It wasn't like you were driving and you were just going to your friend's house and they arrested you, right? That's not what it was about. It was about where failure to disperse. And that means that they were doing something that gave them the ability to go, hey, you're not supposed to be out here.
They were told to go.
Correct, and they didn't want to go.
It wasn't just like a, hey.
And it was only Los Angeles City, and it was like, you know,
you're getting
several
arrested.
peaceful protests took place across the Sound last Monday with looting was apparent in Hollywood and Van Nuys as demonstrations continued past the 6 p.m. curfew. Some in Van Nuys were considered that peaceful demonstrations were being drowned out. And that was Mayor Garcetti, have the violence mars the message of protesters, right? Again, that was when they put on a curfew that was for 6 p.m. You know why? Because this was about the George Floyd, not about COVID. So you didn't even do your research. That was when the whole city went up in fucking flames for a week. And they put a 6 p.m. curfew because there was fucking people with fucking guns walking down the street in the masses. And it was gnarly. Go look at the footage. That wasn't about COVID. And that's June 3rd. There was no curfews for COVID. So that was not even the same. So it's like, you know, detained on curfew violation for blowing up the fucking city during Black Lives Matter, not COVID. Like I said, there was no COVID arrests ever made in the country. Ever. Look it up. There was nobody got fucking arrested for going against COVID violations. There was no you can't go to jail for being there was no law that was made. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that's the weird thing about debate in your own astrology chart. Like, should I do free will or there is no debate. It's just, this is what it is. This is the tools I have. The shit's going to go down. I don't know exactly how it's going to go down, but when it does go down, I have all these tools. I have my progressions. I have my Draconic chart. I have this. I have my synastry with this person if it's about a person. I have my composite with this person. I have this Davidson with this person. I have all these charts to help me understand how to deal with this. And if I come from a place where I detach my ego of my ego's desire of how I want it to go, and I actually look at what spirit is trying to tell me, it's going to fucking go better. I think that's the other part is when
completely agree. People
attach astrology and what they want to have happen, it always lets you down. If you come into a Jupiter trine sun, a Jupiter conjunct sun, and a beautiful trine of Uranus and this and Venus and you have all these expectations of, I'm going to make millions of dollars and I'm going to make this and I'm going to get the best lover of my life and I'm going to have that. It's just going to happen. It's like, it'll kind of let you down. And then when you have that, well, this major transit's coming and I'll be fine. Then that's when, oh shit. So it's kind of okay, I'm bracing and I'm prepared and I'm not scared. And then it's it'd be really nice and I'm ready for whatever the universe is bringing me a blessing with. I think that's, if you come from that space, not that it's a home run, but at least it's a lot more understanding. I don't think there is a free will moment, though, of I am changing the course of my life and the universe and going. I mean, already salmon and trouts can do that, right? Going up the stream against the stream, but it's fucking hard, and not all of them make it.
But that is part of their divine kind of soul code,
right?
To do that. So it's kind of different for them to fight different. Up the stream.
It's different.
Yeah. But, yeah, I'm with you. We'll never be able to use free will to beat the universe. It's not about like beating the universe. It's about experience, growth, acceptance. Sometimes we have to surrender for that. Sometimes we have to let go of what we wanted because the universe had something better, but our ego can get in the way and think we know what's best for me. But we don't. There's fated moments where we have to realize that there is something bigger than just us pulling the strings.
Yeah.
And it is what it is.
Bob asked a good question. What's your impression of Draconic charts? Do you believe it's before your soul incarnate into human form?
I believe it's like a higher self chart. So I don't know if it's before, in my opinion, I don't know if it's an incarnated in this reality chart. I feel like it would be like a natal chart of your extra dimensional self that maybe wrote the program that you're playing.
I feel like, yeah, it's the contract chart that you made with God to come down here with.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to what I was going with it too.
Because if you put the North Node to 0 Aries, it's the start point of why you came down here.
So it's like that's your developer higher self who developed this matrix for you and the experiences and helped you write the contracts and then was like, all right, let's go. And then you're not only, the developer of the game, but you're the player in the game. You're the character in the game. You're literally the one controlling the game. But there's still that higher aspect. And I think that to me is what the Draconic chart shows is, I guess, the overall plan for what
because it's
the
still connected to you, because it still makes you the same sun position in the houses, or all the planets are in the same positions. So it's like one of those same aspects. So it's one of those things to where, I guess,
mostly same aspects. Yeah, same aspects.
No, same aspects. Yeah. So it's just different planets and different rulers of the house systems. And, you know, like I'm a sun in Taurus with a Gemini rising with Mercury in Gemini, right? Conjunct the ascendant with the moon in Pisces in the 10th, with Chiron in Pisces in the 10th, right? You know, it's like, oh, actually, no, North Node Chiron. Oh, yeah, Chiron, North Node in Aries. But yeah, so it's like, yeah, oh, okay. Like, yeah, it feels like I have a spiritual mission here, and I definitely am arriving to this reality with a lot of value or a lot of bouginess of how to do this shit. And I'm going to be a Gemini fucking ascendant with Mercury there. I have a lot of shit to say. And it moves all my, it moves my Jupiter, or I mean, it moves my Mars, my Saturn, and my Pluto from Libra, Scorpio, all the way up to like, I think it's like, if I'm right, I think it's Leo. It's like, it's very like same kind of, to be honest with you, I feel like it's if you really want to talk about your twin flame, your own twin flame of yourself.
I'm into that. I'm super into that.
This is High Vibe TV, the uncensored, guided, and community-based video TV network with content recorded and live streamed from the world-famous High Vibe TV studios. High Vibe TV delivers daily, weekly, and special programs focused on astrology, spirituality, history, community, and more. This is not your run-of-the-mill astrology and tarot. This is the future of spirituality, illuminating new ways the collective can step into the dawning of this exciting new dimension. The highest vibe is truth, and the truth always prevails. Download our awesome app on the Apple and Android stores so you don't miss our notifications, with special spiritual insights curated to the energy of the universe. Search for us on your TV with our exciting TV apps on Apple TV and Roku. Catch our vibe on your computer, where you can join in on the live chat with our amazing community and blog. Watch spirituality like you've never seen before. Download our apps or go to highvibe.tv. Subscribe now.